Alright, we got the tw200 out here. I'm going to do a little video demonstration of the needle shim mod. You raise the main needle up to let a little more fuel in. Since this one has no movable clips, which I'll show you. So, because I got a pipe on it now and I have 3 shims in there now, but I think you really only need 2, and I put a 118 jet in it, and it pulls hard now, even for a 200, and my weight, I'm pretty surprised at what it can do now. So I'm going to show you a video of the exhaust when I'm done with this needle shim mod here. First 10 metric. Get your seat off, so let's start there. So now the seat's unbolted, and there's 2 bolts. Literally just pick it back up and pull it right off. And that's how you gain access to your battery and all, if you need to be in there. Next thing I like to do is pull the side cover off. It's just Phillips head screws. One's missing, I gotta get one. 2 Phillips head screws. And let's pull those off. Alright, so this piece just comes out, and there's a little rubber grommet behind here. Just pull gently and it'll pop right off. See, there's the grommet piece right there. That's the hole it goes into. Next step, you got to take the fuel tank off. So it's also a 10. Most of the stuff on this bike's 10 metric millimeter. So pull that off, and I put my own fuel line on it because when I got the bike it was horrible, and I put a fuel filter in it. So just turn your fuel to off. And you can run the carburetor dry if you wanted to, but you don't really have to, just to shim the needle. You'll spill a little bit of gas, but it's not horrible. So let's go ahead and pull the tank off. Okay, we are now ready to pull the fuel tank off. You get your bolts out, get the fuel line off, just literally lift the back of the tank up and pull it like up, you know, and that's it. So let's go ahead and do that. When you're pulling the fuel tank off too, you gotta remember the plastic on the other side has a little rubber grommet in it too. Over here. So just pop that out. You don't have to pull the whole side panel off. Okay, now I have a different kind of clamp on mine down here. It's a band clamp, but it's wider than the OEM one. And you have to loosen this band back there too. I don't know why my camera's not focusing. There it goes. That clamp there. And then that clamp there. Let's go ahead and try it. Okay, so you have your 2 clamps loosened. Now if you left fuel in the carburetor, you can also drain it by this screw down here and just have a rubber hose run into a can. Take the stock hose off. But if you turn it and you still got a little fuel in it, it's gonna come out that overflow there, but it's okay. I got paper towels down. You don't have to loosen the throttle cables for this. You just have to pull them off to an angle like that. Next step is to, with your Phillips head screwdriver, that one, and this cap will just pop off. And that'll give you access to the slide and all. Let's go ahead and do that. You can pull the slide right out of the throat there. And there's a, it's kind of hard to see, but right where my thumb is there's a E-clip. And I have a very small pair of pliers to catch it after I break it free with a really small flat bladed screwdriver. And then what you have to do is kind of pull this down and off, which I'll show you how to do in a second. You don't have to be super careful, but I would try to be careful. Make sure you slide this piece all the way that way. You kind of need 2 hands to do this, but you get the gist of what I'm trying to show you. And then you can kind of manipulate this over to get it out while you're working it like that. And you almost have it right there. But that's, you know, how you do it. You kind of need 2 hands to do it. Alright, it's off now. It's out of the way. Let's take this and pull it right out. And this is what's considered the slide, and this is what's considered the needle. Now in here, obviously you don't have to take this plastic piece off, but inside there, I don't know if my camera is going to focus. There's a screw on that side, and there's a screw on that side. They're Phillips and slotted, so whichever small tool you have to get in there, that's what you're gonna have to do. And then once you have it off, this piece will just pull right out. Let's go ahead and take those screws out. Okay, now you have that piece out. You have access to your needle. The needle just slides right up the center. Those washers right there are what's considered the shims. Now I order these from Jets R Us. I forget what how tall they are, but they're tiny, as you can see. I have 3 in there. I had a little stumble taken off on throttle, and that big washer there is what holds the needle in place. My camera's not focusing again. There we go. Those are the shims, and that bigger washer with the dimples, and the pin is what holds the needle down when it's inside there. So there you go. Now I'm only going to use 2 shims this time. 3 is just it rips, but alright. And then when you're putting your shims on, you can see this is the small end of the needle. This is the big end of the needle with the E-clip on it. The shims go on the small end of the needle and sit on the bottom of the E-clip there. And number 2. And there you go. That's how you shim the needle. And that raises that up. You can see it's tapered. It gets to a point like, you know, pen. And that'll, when you put a pipe on it and put a bigger main jet in it, and these needles, not the needles, the shims, it wakes the bike up a bit. For 200, the factory jetting is crap, especially on the newer bikes. This is an 88. It's horrible. It starts easier. It's always ran lean from the factory. They obviously do that so they can meet emission standards for California. And this was a California bike, but the smog canister and all was already removed. Then pretty much just put it back the way you took it apart, and that's it. That's all you got to do. So hopefully this helps out. And there's what the there's the 2 shims. And there's the detent, the little pin to line it back up. That's the factory shim right there. You see the 2 other ones are the ones I added. And when you're putting it back together, I'll show you the inside of the throttle here, the slide. There's a hole for that pin to go into to lock it in. So there you go. Put her all back together the way we just took it apart, and